For decades, if you thought about Micron Technology, you probably thought of them as a solid but kind of cyclical company, just another maker of commodity memory chips. But the AI revolution, well, that has changed everything. So let's get into it. How this company from Idaho suddenly became one of the most important players in the entire AI supercycle.
It really all boils down to this one question, right? How did a company that was mostly known for navigating these brutal price wars suddenly become a critical partner for giants like NVIDIA? Well, the answer lies in a huge bottleneck that's threatening to slow down the whole AI industry.
And this is it. It's called the memory wall. Okay, imagine you have the world's fastest chef. I mean, this person can cook faster than anyone, but they've only got one person slowly bringing them ingredients one at a time. That's the exact problem AI GPUs are facing today. They're unbelievably powerful, but the memory we've been using just can't feed them data fast enough. This crisis has turned what used to be a commodity part into something absolutely mission critical. And solving this problem, it's kicked off what a lot of people are calling a brand new AI memory supercycle. So let's just take a step back and look at the big picture here. Just how massive is this shift?
Wow, okay, the numbers on this slide really tell the story. The market for what's called high bandwidth memory, or HBM, is set to nearly triple in just 3 years. We're talking about hitting a mind-blowing $100 billion. That's the fuel for the entire AI semiconductor market, which itself is rocketing towards $500 billion by 2028. This isn't just regular growth, folks. This is an explosion.
And that explosion in demand has created a serious supply crunch. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. The entire global production of this critical AI component is already bought and paid for the next 2 years. This gives a company like Micron incredible pricing power and basically turns that old cyclical memory market completely on its head. So we've seen the market level boom, but how is this actually translating to Micron's bottom line? Well, the financial proof is pretty incredible. So in its first fiscal quarter of 2026, Micron reported a record-breaking revenue of over $13.6 billion. That is a nearly 57% jump from the year before, and it just blew Wall Street's expectations out of the water. This isn't just a good quarter, this is a statement. Now, big revenue numbers are one thing, but the profitability is where the story gets truly wild. Their non-GAAP net income shot up an unbelievable 167% year over year. See, this isn't just about selling more stuff. It's about selling incredibly high-margin products that everybody is desperate to get their hands on. And this chart right here shows you exactly why that profitability is just soaring. I mean, just look at the gross margin. In a single year, it's more than doubled, jumping from under 24% to almost 57%. That is the scarcity premium in action. It's a direct result of being one of the only companies on the planet that can solve that memory wall problem. Okay, so where is all this money coming from exactly? This chart pinpoints the growth engine perfectly. The Cloud Memory Business Unit. This is the part of the company that sells HBM and other high-end memory for AI servers. It nearly doubled its revenue in a year, and it has an operating margin of 55%. This right here is the heart of Micron's whole transformation. So what's the golden ticket really driving all of this? It's a technological leap called HBM4. That's the next generation of high bandwidth memory. And honestly, this is where things get really, really cool. Now, HBM4 isn't just a small incremental update. No way. It's a complete architectural overhaul. The key thing to see here is the interface width. It doubles to 2048 bits. The best way to think about it is like doubling the number of lanes on a data superhighway. This lets the total bandwidth almost double too, pushing past 2 terabytes per second. And it does all this while letting them stack the memory even higher and denser. But making HBM4 is an incredibly high-stakes three-way race. You've got the current leader, SK Hynix, who's sticking with its proven process. Then there's Samsung, which is taking a huge risk on a new technology called hybrid bonding. It's got a lot of promise, but they're struggling to get good yields. And then you have Micron, playing to its strengths in low-power design to try and break up the duopoly. But the truly revolutionary part of HBM4 is this. For the very first time, the bottom layer of the memory stack isn't a memory chip, it's a logic chip. This means processing can happen inside the memory itself. So it's not just storage anymore. It's like a semi-intelligent co-processor that actively helps the GPU. It's a massive step toward finally knocking down that memory wall. So this technology is a complete game changer. but it's the demand from one single company that's turning it into an absolute gold rush. We have to talk about the kingmaker in this story, NVIDIA. NVIDIA's next-generation platform, it's codenamed Rubin. Well, it makes HBM4 a non-negotiable requirement. Just look at the jump from their current Blackwell platform. Rubin needs more HBM4, with way more capacity, to hit a truly staggering 22 terabytes per second of memory bandwidth. To put it simply, without HBM4, the Rubin platform just can't exist. And NVIDIA is moving at an absolutely blistering pace. They've squeezed their GPU development cycle from over 2 years down to just 18 months. Now, this forces memory makers like Micron into this relentless innovation cycle. But here's the flip side. It also locks in huge demand for their most advanced products for years to come. And if you want to put that demand into perspective, just look at this number. Each new Rubin GPU is going to need 6 times the amount of memory as the previous high-end GPUs. 6 times. That massive jump on a per-chip basis is a huge reason for the overall market growth we saw earlier. Okay, so the technology is revolutionary, the demand is basically locked in, but what does all of this mean for Micron as an investment? Let's zoom back out for a second and look at the high-stakes game of valuation and, of course, risk. So, what's the bottom line for investors? This chart really gets to the heart of the bull case. Even with its stock soaring, Micron's forward price-to-earnings ratio is sitting around 11. Now, compare that to its AI peers. NVIDIA is at 32, AMD's at 38. So why the big gap? It's history. The market still kind of sees Micron as that old boom-and-bust commodity company. The big bet here is that the relentless structural demand from AI finally changes that perception for. But of course, there are some pretty significant risks to think about. That whole boom-bust cycle history could easily repeat if all this investment leads to a glut of supply down the road. The HBM4 manufacturing process is also incredibly difficult, which means there's a real risk of costly delays or yield problems. Plus, you have this growing reliance on partners like TSMC for that new logic die, not to mention the geopolitical tensions that could mess up the whole supply chain. Which brings us to the final critical question. Right now, Micron is in the strongest position it's ever been in. It's an indispensable part of the AI revolution. But is the powerful structural demand from AI enough to finally let the company escape those cyclical patterns that have defined it for almost 50 years? Well, that remains the multi-billion-dollar question.